And it should come as a surprise to nobody that the Steelers are just a smidge above 500 and have finally finished the season yet again on top of the AFC North. That's just what happens. They find a way to win bad football games all the time. That's what they do. This was one of the funnest Steeler games I've had to watch in a long time. And man, they have good games. They have really good games. This one, different story. Okay. This one, the second half. The first half was some of the absolute most dog water football I've watched in my life. That sucked. Jalen Ramsey, you're still bad at football. You have no place on the football field in Pittsburgh. You're so bad at sports. Great job in the Jets game. Everything since then, absolute dog water. Should not be on a football field. Regret the Minka Fitzpatrick trade, even if it was just energy between Tomlin and him not working out, whatever. Don't care. Jalen Ramsey is so bad at football right now. He literally has cost two touchdowns. The Steelers should have lost that game twice, specifically just because of him. I can't believe they pulled that game out. Pure Tomlin magic. And don't forget, the priest did bless the football field before the game. I found that out after the game. It makes perfect sense now. There's no reason the Steelers should win that game. Absolutely should not have won that football game at all. No chance. But they did. So, recaps on the game that I saw. I am a huge Steelers fan. Sure, I've got so much Homer in me. It's disgusting, but I hate not trying to see things objectively. It's not fun for me. I want to try and see the objectivity. Now, Lamar Jackson, for the first time in his NFL career, in my opinion, for the first time in his NFL career, has finally just gotten over the Steelers hump. And it was in a loss, mind you. Go back and watch if you are a Steelers fan, and especially if you're a Ravens fan. Watch any football game where Lamar Jackson is playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is not himself. He's been, most people would argue, top 6 quarterback over the better part of the last decade, right? He's incredible. Great athlete, great quarterback, can throw the ball, can run the ball. Instincts are off the chart. He knows what he's doing, right? He's had MVP seasons for a reason, multiple of them, okay? He can't beat the Steelers. He can't play well against them when he needs to. He's choked multiple times against them. He cannot play well against, even in his MVP seasons. He's had, I think, one good game against them where he just blew up the narrative, but it wasn't when it mattered. It was like the Steelers, the one time the Steelers were like not in the running for the division and they were like 12-5 or something like that. Not the Steelers, the Ravens, obviously. And he had a really good game. I'll go back and look at that. But I remember Lamar, I mean, the stats have always been there. The conversation's been there. Lamar doesn't really play well against the Steelers. The second half, he finally exercised those demons. Every time he throws that ball away, it ends up in Zay Flowers' pocket, goes for a touchdown. Should have been ball game there. Steelers come down, go Cook, touchdown. 3 minutes left. That should be game right there, right? Wrong. Lamar Jackson again has just magnificent. Zay Flowers again, touchdown. That should be ball game. Steelers have no timeouts, horrible clock management. Rodgers' headset was not working the entire time. Switched helmets with like 7 different dudes. Okay. They all have lice now. That's disgusting. I can't imagine switching helmets with one dude. He had to switch it with like 7 different. That's disgusting. I'm sorry. That can't be. You know he's the least vaccinated player in America, and make sure you know about it every time he snaps the ball. Like the guy says Pfizer for his cadence. The first half play calling of this game was, I thought it was actually very nice. The Steelers, if you guys remember a few years ago before Arthur Smith became the offensive coordinator, they had someone who is called Matt Canada. Usually you can't say his name without being bleeped or stabbed in Pittsburgh. That's a problem, right? Matt Canada, not beloved there. I'm clearly very happy, though. The very first half of that Steelers game, they gave Matt Canada play calling duties, clearly, because they scored 3 points and that was it. And we watched the game and they couldn't do anything. It was abysmal. They're getting booed off the field for a good reason. Still ended up somehow scoring 26 points. I don't get this offense. Honestly, this is one of his best seasons in terms of how he pieced the offense together. Because sure, he does not have the stats this year. We know that. He does not have the MVP this year. We know that. When you genuinely look at his cast of characters that he had to play with, and the fact that we just finished up with Kenny Gainwell, Kenny G, Kenny Gainwell just won team MVP for the Steelers, and I believe he had the most receptions on the team. And he's a second string running back that we used in a lot of dump off situations. And he's been fantastic. Since Kenny Gainwell has become a main part of the offense in the past like 6 weeks, they have been a different team. But they also early on were cooking pretty good, regardless of Gainwell. But they still have their Canada moments where they think no one expects the pitch play, and we all do, and it happens, and you do it on a fourth down again, and then you get stopped because we all said, oh, here comes the pitch play, and then it went to halftime 10-3. Thanks for nothing, Canada. Now, kiss his mustache and go back to where you crawled out of. Thank you. I will tell you, this first half, I had absolutely zero faith in Lamar, and he looked like Lamar of old against the Steelers. That second half, and this is the thing that if I'm Lamar Jackson, I am so upset. I'm so angry. I'm so fear. I am in disbelief about everything that happened out there because he finally exercised his Steelers demons. It was done. He cooked us. It was game until it wasn't. And someone that was 5'7" out of Memphis named Calvin Austin decided to show up, 120 pounds off the bus, soaking wet, to the end zone, got behind and snapped the ankles. Chidobe Awuzie. Played in Cincinnati for a little bit. Dallas too. Drafted there, I believe. But the problem with that is he broke that dude's ankles, and that was awesome. But Lamar even still had a 4th and 7. The game was over. Again. And he hit Isaiah Likely with a perfect ball. Likely came down with it. It was ball game for them winning, right? And then the win came. Fresh off that rip. The win came again. It did when Boswell kicked. That was weird, right? It looked perfect and then zoop. And then his shot, it was, and then it hooked too. It's both wide right. Different sides of the field, obviously. I don't get how any of that happened. It has to be voodoo, clearly. Dark magic, clearly. It has to be, you know what? Maybe it was just the priest blessing the field. Or maybe it was just Lamar has a curse against him when it comes to the Steelers. Now, I think also you'll see too, when Lamar doesn't play against the Steelers, like when it's a backup quarterback, they do play as well, if not better, in that time since, which is just nuts to me. Now, sure, there was a lot of poor officiating in this game. I don't want to get too much into it, but there was very bad officiating. For example, that very first, like, fourth down, the Steelers went for it on their own side of the field that gave Baltimore the second field goal to get it to 10-0. Cam Hayward had Connor Hayward. Like, Cam Hayward's body was well across without guaranteed anything hitting the ground because he was carrying his brother. Steelers got that first fourth down by about, I don't know, I'd probably say a full yard, and it was just marked about a yard and a half short of where it was. You can even see the yard marker to get to was a 46-yarder. It ended up being marked at the 45.5-yard line and given back to the Ravens. I don't get any of that. They got to like the 46.5 by a minimum. More Jalen Ramsey talk. Dude, you're bad. Like, really bad. Jalen Ramsey wants to be Jalen Ramsey so bad when he grows up. Anybody who has watched the Steelers this season and watched him play knows exactly what I mean. He wants to be Jalen Ramsey. Look at what he did to the Steelers when he was on the Jack. Look at what he did to the Patriots when he was, I mean, yes and no, Blake Bortles, I get it. That was an insane game that should have never happened to begin with. But still, Jalen Ramsey on the Jags was a game wrecker. He still wants to be that and still thinks his old tricks still work. Nope, gave up 2 touchdowns today because of it to nobodies. You gave up a game-winning touchdown to a Jag. Just a guy. Jag. How could you do that? That is bad. I don't get that. And again, we can still see him flash big playability all the time, but the problem is, I feel like he's so obsessed with highlights now in his old age that he is only giving, if this doesn't work, I'm selling all the way out. Sorry, guys, and that happened way too much. You do not have that get-back speed like you used to. Okay, that very first half, the only thing that I can sincerely imagine happening is that Matt Canada was on one side of the room, Arthur Smith was on the other side of the room, and he gave him the old defense on me. Remember the Titans, you know? But it's offense on me. I don't want us to gain another yard. That's pretty much what it was. No matter what, don't ever gain another yard. If it was up to me, I would have put the Steelers defense on offense for the first entire half. For the first half, give me the Steelers defense playing offensive positions. One thing that makes me angry is that Rodgers clearly wanted MVS to come to Pittsburgh, and I don't know why, because he's bad. Like really, really bad. When I see Mark MVS, Valdez Scantling, when I see him try to catch a football, it genuinely looks it looks like he has 4 pairs of oven mitts on each hand and he's trying to catch a beach ball. None of it makes sense. None of it looks athletic. None of it looks like he's ever played football before. He sucks. He's bad too. The Steelers have a lot of bad players. They have about 8 elite talent players and everybody else sucks. That's what's a bummer because Rodgers has got himself into that elite because of what he's been able to do with this team. He basically just Tom Brady'd without any of the Tom Brady weapons that game and won that game in that cold weather, in that wind. I don't know how that happened. That shouldn't have been a thing. They were without DK Metcalf, and he's the only guy who literally should not be a fireman, who should not be a plumber right now. All of them. Maybe not Freiermuth. Jonnu Smith, bad. Horrible investment. Worst idea. What were you thinking? I was so excited at the beginning. He literally is catching with his feet. I have never seen him. He looks like he never knows what he's doing. That sucks. I feel like he's always getting yelled at by Rodgers too. I don't know if it's Rodgers being right or just because Rodgers is whiny and always yells at everybody when he's wrong. Like Rodgers will airmail it. Like there was one time this game, he threw it about 10 yards over Jonnu Smith's head and he was screaming at him. And I'm like, that was the route. You missed him. You did a double shuffle and missed him on your play action pass and you had him. That was on you, Rodgers. Most of the other time, it's probably Jonnu Smith's fault. I still don't know why Roman Wilson can't get play time. He is at least athletic, which Calvin Austin is too, sure, but most of the time isn't tall enough to catch the football. Roman Wilson at least is, so put him in position. He couldn't have dropped the Calvin Smith ball. I was expecting Calvin Smith to drop that because he was so open, and he didn't. Can't believe it. Way to go, buddy. Final takeaways from this. Continue betting against the Steelers to both win the North and go above 500, no matter how bad or old they are. Because every time that happens, they win the division. But every time that doesn't happen, I feel like they also win the division. But they also don't end up winning the Super Bowl, so it's not like I'm bragging here because we all know how this ends. The last 5 times, it's been what? Go to the playoffs, show up, and get absolutely dog walked in the first round. Cheeks. They play the Texans next weekend. They could have a shot. That's it. That's it. Steelers could have a shot. They're not the better team. They might be the more talented team. They are not the better team at all, I don't think. I think the Texans should win that one. But oddly enough, Steelers might have a shot. Helmet seems to do okay against younger teams. That's the best I got here. Other than that, it's a homer pick for me. Texans should probably win that game. I won't do many sports things when I get really excited about Buckeyes or Steelers things, or if this becomes something where like the channel ends up enjoying some of the, sports talk stuff that I do. I love the NBA. I love the NFL. I love college football. I'm obsessed with these things. If you guys like it, I'll do more of it. Absolutely. So what I'm going to do now is try and edit this video and go back and look at pictures of Big Ben, Hines Ward, and remember what it was like when I used to think about, hey, there's a chance we could actually win the championship this year. But now I get to look at pictures of. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Bye, guys.